What's up, good movie lovers? It is time for a movie review of Expendables. Jonas, we just got back.
Oh, man.
Like as if we need to say spoilers, like there's anything to be spoiled.
There's nothing
here.
really, there's no big, huge plot twist or M. Night Shyamalan revelations.
This isn't Memento or anything.
Yeah, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was absolutely phenomenal. It was not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It was a horrible, but it was, for lovers of bad cinema, it was a masterpiece.
I mean, it's one of those movies where going in, if your expectations are set in the right way, you're going to really enjoy this.
Right, exactly.
You're not expecting to see the Citizen Kane of action films.
And what Stallone did in this is, it's like he went back in time and picked up an action movie from the 80s and brought it and put it into the theaters today. It's not meta, there's no irony, it's not self-referential, it's just completely a ridiculous B movie with cheesy dialogue and groaning puns and just stupid humor and kind of weird homoeroticism and
Everything that the 80s action movie was.
It was, exactly. And it's that to a T. It's even got Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
Eric Roberts shamelessly playing the classic Eric Roberts villain, and he's phenomenal.
Forgotten Eric Roberts, who kind of had like that B movie career that you always forget about, but when you see the movie, you're like, Eric Roberts.
Yeah, of course, totally. The scene where the general's daughter is getting waterboard tortured, and he's sitting there watching while drinking a cup of tea
with a saucer.
And it's like, where the fuck did the cup of tea come from? Where is their tea? Where did that? It doesn't matter. It's just thrown in there.
They're gonna waterboard her. Let me go to the kitchen and get this.
Get a cup of tea.
And then they have this shot where he's looking over her, like looking at her, and he's sipping on the tea or coffee
with the saucer. It's phenomenal. Or when the army rolls in to the nondescript Latino village, and just the army comes in, just like starts pushing people around, and then like overturning like a fruit stand,
the carts, all that.
And then Eric Roberts like grabs an apple, and just steals an apple, just eats it,
sniffs it, starts eating it,
and that's it. Then the army leaves.
That's like his morning routine. That's how he gets his day kicked off.
Right, exactly.
He gets it started. Let's go right to village,
get some free fruit,
find the ripest apple, and show him who's boss. That, like, this movie, every single scene has the moment like that, or it's either like a line of dialogue or just some weird close-up that just captures an awkward kind of look, and it just makes you laugh.
Yeah, I have not had so much fun in a movie. We're talking about since Kick-Ass.
Yeah, Kick-Ass.
I was just laughing and applauding and cheering, and it needs to be said, Stallone, for all his faults and for all what he does as a director and a writer and somewhat of an auteur of kinds. Is an amazing action director. He's really gotten very good. I just watched Rambo last night on Netflix.
I've not seen it yet.
It is one of the most violent movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Which I've heard,
Like, put Starship Troopers to shame. Like, puts a not even close. And he's phenomenal. We saw that today. It was just, the first kill of the movie is you've got the Expendables, lining this team of pirates that kidnaps, these Somalian pirates. And let them go. We want more money. Let them go. And then all of a sudden, Dolph Lundgren shoots an explodable round into the main. Explodes him. He blows him up. His torso flies off. That's the first kill of the movie, and it sets the stage. And throughout the movie, you've got heads exploding, you've got body parts flying off, you've got bullets ripping through people, and in an era, we finally, I think, come to the end of the shaky cam era in action movies, thankfully. I hate not seeing what's going on, and you can see everything. You can see every bit of brain matter flying out of the guy's head. You can see every bit of blood hitting the wall. There's a fight scene where Jason Statham and Jet Li are two-timing this guy, and then Jason Statham brings his leg up and kicks down and pretty much decapitates the guy with a downward kick. Knocks his head, breaks his neck, knocks his head off. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's so unexpected, and at this point you think, I've pretty much seen it all.
Right.
And the audience, it wasn't a big audience because we saw the 12:30 show.
Yeah.
But everyone was just like, oh, what? It was such a surprise. And it was so hilarious.
Because we're so used in action movies. You look at the ones from the 80s, and guys just basically just got shot and, fall down.
Yeah.
Or, the grenade explodes, and they kind of do, a backflip in the air. Mm-hmm. Well, Stallone's up the ante, man. He did it with Rambo. He's doing it with this. You see just just everything. Just because I can't. The violence is phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, and
a gore fest.
he doesn't back away from it, and he overdoes it, but he does it in such a way where it's just like perfect for the moment.
It is perfect for the moment. Yeah, nothing is. It's all gratuitous, but none of it's gratuitous. It's all exactly how it should be.
Yeah, yeah, and like when that final action sequence, one just gets rolling, and they're like, seriously, there's like 2 minutes of them just running around and putting bombs up against walls.
That's all the scene is. That's it. Just them, like, occasionally killing somebody.
Yeah.
Like, occasionally, slicing someone's throat or like breaking someone's neck.
It's like we get it, and it's like, no, we need like another 2 minutes of here's every single little post holding up the building, and we got to make sure that's everywhere.
And it pays off because there's a last 20 minutes of the movie where just everything's exploding.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes straight. Just things are just blowing up.
And it borders on like it could become kind of that like Hot Shots or something kind of parody, but it doesn't. It stays serious. And just things keep blowing up. And I remember at one point we just started clapping and just laughing. It was just
because it was amazing. And to culminate in when Terry Crews throws a missile.
Yeah.
And Stallone shoots it. And it blows up a helicopter.
I can't remember seeing that anywhere either.
No,
that's something new. So another
and it makes
new.
total sense. Well, it also follows from Rambo, I was telling you last night, where he blew up a missile with an improvised grenade. So there you go. Something came to mind because you went up to leave the theater because you had to go take a leak.
Yeah.
And Mickey Rourke was on screen.
Dude, there's a rule. Never leave a movie if Mickey Rourke's on camera.
Exactly.
I made that mistake.
Mickey Rourke in the movie basically plays like the kind of sage, like former member, but he's retired now. He's kind
burned out Zen guy. Now I'm kind of like, I know about life and I'm out of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got this one monologue where it's an Oscar moment. It really is. Like, his eyes get weepy, and he's telling about, like, when his soul died inside. And the point is that even this ridiculous, just horribly overwritten scene, Rourke sells it, first of all. He's funny. He brings it. But the movie passed the piss test for me, which is no matter how bad you have to take a leak, you cannot leave your seat because you are afraid of what you might miss.
Yeah. That was actually, I was fighting it for about 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to go. Because literally every scene, there's something that you're going to enjoy. Right. Whether it's like the action fight or the lines of dialogue or just the characters interacting. It's like one scene has not let me down yet. And I'm like, I don't want to leave. And it got kind of slow. And I was like, all right, this is kind of the perfect time. But yeah, of course, it's the emotional moment of the movie. And it's Rourke. So, you shouldn't miss that kind of stuff. That's a perfect way to phrase it. Where it's like, you're just like, I'd rather have bladder pain than miss anything that's going on. Again, it is a bad movie, but it's really masterfully directed. Dolph Lundgren, every single line that he says.
Just owned it. He was so much better in this movie than he was in any of the 80s movies that I remember him being in.
Maybe it's like one of those things where no one has remembered the name Dolph Lundgren. Like Tarantino, a couple guys were in that mode where they were bringing back like Tom Berenger makes an appearance in and stuff. They've already brought back a lot of those actors that we remember, and everyone forgot about Dolph Lundgren.
Everyone forgot about Dolph Lundgren.
Stallone.
And he was awesome.
Yeah.
He was awesome. He was just a psychopath and funny and violent and really threatening and just a badass. He was a total badass in this movie.
He was very like Frankensteinish. Like where Jet Li sees like the low clearance.
Right.
And he just like brings him in there, starts bumping his head all around everywhere. And he's like, my turn.
just ramming gently against the ceiling.
Or he shows up with that in the bad guy's office and he's like, do you want the facelift? And he like points the gun at him. Every line. And I like that they didn't go back to their old lines. Like this movie, like you were saying, it's not trying to be winky wink to the camera.
Right.
And it creates its own memorable one-liners because it's not aware of itself in that like I'm trying to make a cheesy action movie or something like that.
Right. And the only time it was kind of self-aware was the scene with Schwarzenegger and Willis, which we should talk about.
Yeah, let's the money shot of the movie, if you will, because in terms of like I remember watching these movies in the 80s and that was kind of like the dream matchup. Let's get a movie where we have at least Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Right.
Willis kind of tail end of the 80s, early 90s.
He came on at the end, the end of it, exactly. So he wasn't really an 80s star for so much as they were.
Yeah, so what'd you think about that scene?
It was, I'm glad it was in there. Like, it was a lot of fun just to see Arnold, like, hamming it, and he was totally hamming it up.
The way they introduced him with the door, like, with the door in church, and the door opens, and the lights.
He's got the backlight from behind him. Oh, it's perfect. The dialogue was awful. It was horrible, like, the little jokes between them, and it was horribly written.
But I like they got kind of raw because Bruce Willis is like, so when are you gonna each other's? And everyone in the theater just started laughing.
Whoa!
Because it's kind of like the pissing contest between the two big action movie icons of that decade.
Exactly.
But it totally reminded me, like, even Schwarzenegger's on screen for just 1 minute. It's like, I want to see this guy make another action movie. Every time he says something, it's like, I missed that. You know, I missed that Schwarzenegger.
He's an icon. He is. I mean, he has it. He has that weird, bizarre charisma of just
And it's literally every line. I mean, any dialogue that he says is going to be making you smile, and you're like, okay, I'm interested. Maybe now it's more nostalgia or something, but back in the 80s, it kind of was like Terminator. He was awesome, and then got kind of cheesy, and then just kind of came back a little bit.
Schwarzenegger, we talk 80s action movies if we want to digress. Like his body of work, shall we say, remains untouched. Commando, Predator, Running Man, even like the bad ones were phenomenal.
Raw Deal.
Red Heat. The very underrated Red Heat with Jim Belushi.
One of Jim Belushi's few watchable movies.
Yeah, it's great. I'll watch Red Heat sometime. It's a lot of fun. We were talking about the reboots and how, before we came to this, Stallone really has done, he's come out on the right time. Right? He really gets the zeitgeist. And he gets that 80s everything is what's hot now. And so he brought back Rocky. It was a solid hit. He brought back Rambo, and it was a phenomenal movie. And he brought back the 80s action movie. Yeah. And he's made a killing this weekend. They opened number 1.
35. Yeah. 35 mil.
And it's going to make a ton more. And we're just talking about how you can't really reboot any action movies from the 80s because it wasn't built around a franchise. It wasn't like there was the Terminator, and they did Terminator Salvation, so there's that.
So sequels are doable.
Right, but as far as what you're selling is the 80s action movies were sold by the stars. You went to see the new Seagal movie. You went to go see the new Van Damme movie, the new Schwarzenegger, the new Stallone. It was the action here, to a lesser degree, the new Jeff Speakman movie.
Yeah, and you weren't seeing it because of the cool idea of the story necessarily.
Yeah, it was all the same story.
How can we set up a rescue, basically?
Yes, exactly. Let me set up a rescue, or we'll kill a lot of people. And that was it. That was the setup. Just let me see this one bankable star kill people and beat up people in new and interesting ways and say funny things. And that's basically what the formula was. Absolutely. And it worked. And we don't really have that today. Jason Statham, to a certain degree, has done that with the Transporter movies.
He's the most manliest of the new age guys, because Stallone was recently quoted as saying, the Velcro muscle of Batman in '89 kind of started the death of the action hero, or the muscle-bound kind of action hero of the '80s. But the last 10 years or so, who have we had? Statham?
And then Jet Li, to a certain extent.
Yeah, but he's never really become the icon. I mean, we've had The Rock, Vin Diesel. This idea of like this kind of 80s action star, I guess, just kind of died in that decade.
And Stallone brought it back. He brought it back. He brought back everything that was bad/good about 80s action movies is in this movie.
Yeah, and really fun. Something I'm always thinking about, like when just critiquing a film or kind of what are the standards. I guess you got to take each movie, each genre, kind of what do you want to get out of it?
Right.
Like I think going into a film like this, okay, it's obviously it's going to be an action movie. It's got all these stars in it. They're kind of using that whole Valentine's Day, he's just not that into you, 70s disaster, like, let's put a ton of stars in here. Names that you knew that were A-list one time, but now they're B or C-list.
Right.
Let's just get them all on the poster, and it'll at least draw a crowd in that way. Thankfully, they're going beyond that marketing ploy and putting some content in here that kind of lives up to it. Kind of going into this, I wasn't expecting, like, okay, it's going to be... Because is there, in your mind... a really, like, let's say, like a Citizen Kane of action movies.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is probably the best, in my mind, action movie ever. Just in terms of pure action spectacle, top-of-the-line special effects for the time. Nothing, that the morphing and everything, that was beyond anything we'd ever seen.
Started it off, yeah.
You've got the action star of the 80s and 90s at the top of his game. And you've got a genuinely interesting movie. Great sci-fi premise.
Based in character.
Great, very excellent villains and threatening and scary. And
yeah. I was also thinking Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Because Die Hard really starts out, the first 30 minutes is like basically a drama about a marriage on the rocks. And then all of a sudden it gets actiony, but it kind of it stays grounded in that. Like, Speed is pretty solid. You know, it gets kind of ridiculous with, you know, can a bus jump over this or whatever.
Right.
But it takes itself seriously enough where it doesn't get too goofy.
Right, and it delivers its premise. It's a good premise, and it just delivers on it. So yeah, I mean, I love action movies. There's definitely some good ones out there, like some ones that that even I think a film snob would say, no, this is a well done movie.
Yeah.
You know, Expendables is not one of those movies.
Right. Like we're saying, it knows what it is. So kind of going in, I was going in, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna matinee price. I'm just going there to see Stallone, the stars, and I'm expecting some one-liners, some body counts, some explosions.
Right.
And it delivered beyond
that, above and beyond. It followed that 80s action movie of there's huge chunks of screen time with characters, interactions, and exposition, and
Charisma Carpenter
from Buffy for some random reason, and let's see where Statham goes and just destroys everyone in the basketball court. It was hilarious. I miss how jaded we were, but the minute that he goes to see Charisma Carpenter and we see the black eye that she has, I started laughing. Yeah. Not because it's funny that a woman got punched, but because that's such a generic 80s action movie thing where the girlfriend got beat up by the bad boefriend, so the guy got to go seek revenge on her behalf.
Eric Roberts gets the general's daughter and there's a necklace on her
and he rips it off.
So it's like,
why do you rip it off?
He slowly grips it, and you know he's gonna pull it off.
And there's no reason for why. There's no significance to that necklace. It's never explained.
Yeah.
There's no point to it. But why is he drinking tea while watching her get tortured? Because it's hilarious.
That's what the bad
guys do. And he really hits every cliche. I don't think Stallone did it knowingly. I don't think Stallone is that sophisticated a filmmaker.
I think he is.
You think so? That's an interesting debate. I think...
Because I think the close-ups here were I think they were too intentional to be accidental. Unless like you're saying, he's just going through the Rolodex of here's the 80s movie. And
what have I seen?
This is what he would do.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. I honestly think Stallone is not a smart enough filmmaker that he did this on purpose.
Okay.
That'd be an interesting debate right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think this is purposeful. I think this is all accidental. I think this is all...
So you think he's trying to make... he thought this was his Citizen Kane? Yes! And it turned out to be his Ed Wood or something?
I think he saw it to make the action movie of action movies. And he hit every cliche in the book.
The ones... I guess I hope that he was more conscious of it, because the one scene that we're making fun of while it was going on, where he's running on the pier.
Yes, and he's just running really fast. And he jumps and he catches the plane and it's taking off, and then the wind and there's people shooting at him. And no, there's no way he did it on purpose.
Either he's thinking as a director, okay, I know doing this, I'm just homaging the 80s and I'm kind of not making fun of it, but I'm giving the audience what they want. Or it's this is gonna be awesome.
That's what it is. Yes, that's what I'm saying happened. It's not this is people will love this. There'll be such a callback to the 80s. No, this was, are you gonna be awesome? If I'm just running on top of the pier at full speed and the camera's got me running at it, kind of in slow-mo, and then I jump and I just catch the plane. And the wind, the rain is putting my hair back and people are shooting at me. Yes, that's what we're doing. Do it. Cut it. Cut it.
Cut it. Now I'm gonna vote that. Even though, dude, that performance right there, that belongs in the Expendables right there. You are an honorary expendable. I'm hoping that he was more conscious than that, but it would not surprise me if that was he was really sitting there writing me this is going to be a great scene. And I'm this is really going to rock.
Just everybody with the apple, that was all completely there was no sarcasm behind it. There was no irony. Yeah. That was straight. That was all straight.
So this is not his deconstruction.
This is not a deconstruction of an action movie. This is a bad action movie. Okay. And that is why it's so wonderfully entertaining.
Yeah. It's not a Die Hard.
No, it's not. It's not a Die Hard. It's not Total Recall. It's not RoboCop. It's not T2. It's not any of those.
Right.
This is Delta Force. It is it's marked for death. It's it's
actually this might be one of the better modern day Grindhouse movies.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, this is a grindhouse movie. This is a B movie.
Yeah.
This is a great B movie.
Yeah, because obviously Tarantino and Rodriguez intentionally tried to do that with the combo there, but and Bruce Willis was in that one, whatever, the Planet Terror one with the zombies.
Right.
But this is the
real deal.
This is the real deal.
This is the real deal.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, so going into this movie, how you enjoy it depends on what you're looking to get out of it.
Yeah.
If you're looking for an interesting, well-written or, something that, like, really speaks to you, or this is not that movie. If you're looking to have a good, stupid time, if you love bad 80s action movies, if you grew up on The Perfect Weapon and Snake Eater and Human Targets and Kickboxer 1 and 2,
Rambo 3,
and all those
Commando,
right?
yeah.
And all those are horrible movies. You will have a great time.
Yeah.
You will have an amazing time. If you are a cineast of bad cinema, you will splooge yourself.
Yeah.
This is everything you want it to be.
It absolutely is. And even though sort of wish more of the icons would have agreed to be in this, like Van Damme didn't want to do it because of the script or something.
That is one of the great loss. That's a great loss parts of this movie is that Van Damme was not in it, or Seagal.
This really could have been like a historic cinematic event if all of those guys, like Seagal, Van Damme, even like Chuck Norris getting in here,
and Jeff Speakman,
Ken Wall,
Lorenzo Lamas. It's like
get
all
many in there
there.
as you can.
Yeah, and this isn't that. Unfortunately, it's not that. We have Randy Couture, the UFC guy, and so he did a good job of bridging like the action decades. So you've got Jason Statham, you got Jet Li, you've got Terry Crews, who's hilarious. Terry Crews is great in this movie.
Yeah. The only part of me that, if there's anything that I don't like about this movie, it's that that element's missing.
Right.
Like Terry Crews, it's like, all right, I know he's kind of recently been in a lot of action stuff, and he's the Old Spice guy, but it's like him and Couture are kind of just like, they almost feel like they're literally just like plugged in to fill the holes that couldn't be filled.
Yeah, and it's kind of a missed opportunity. I feel, I really wish we had gotten all the 80s stars.
Yeah, because this film really just turns into him and Statham, Stallone and Statham, towards the end a little bit more.
As far as a team action movie, which is what it sells itself as, is this all-star team, it isn't that really, because Steve Austin is a bad guy. So you've got that, first of all. He's not even on the team. And the other guys, like, it basically is Stallone and Statham. Jet Li is kind of thrown in for comic relief. He doesn't really do much. And then, Couture and Crews are there for the end, and they're fun. And then I do like that they gave Couture the big boss fight against Steve Austin, because you've got the UFC actual fighting guy versus the WWF guy.
That was conscious.
That was conscious.
Stallone might know what's going on.
That was
here.
a conscious decision. Yes, I'll give him that, and that was smart, and that was fun. It was entertaining to see them do some wrestling moves back and forth.
But thankfully, they didn't they didn't bring it up.
Yeah,
where
it wasn't referenced. It wasn't. Because this movie could have gone that way. It could have fallen to an awful hour and a half of like self-referential jokes and like winking at the camera, and it didn't do that.
Yeah,
it did not do that. It played it straight the entire way.
Yeah. So the marketing is a little deceiving because it truly isn't like a really great ensemble
cast. It's not. It's mostly Stallone and Statham.
Yeah. So we were trying to think of some quality ensemble action films, like we talked about Ocean's 11's kind of a capery action,
right? And that's the Ocean's 11 is a great all-star ensemble film.
Yeah,
everyone's got their part, everyone's got a role, everyone's got a hook.
Yeah,
and as far as action movies, like you got, we were talking about, there's Delta Force, there's Magnificent Seven, there's what else would you consider? Dirty Dozen being the penultimate version. The classic one of them. One
reason I'd agree that it was more of an unconscious creation by Stallone is that consciously, I wish this kind of would have been more like Wild Bunch, where that film was really, because that was Peckinpah, I believe, who was the great Western director, and it was kind of him kind of bringing an epilogue to the Western, where that was like his final say on the Western, but it was also a kind of bloody Western, which you've never seen before. Monty Python later kind of made fun of that. Right. So this could have been kind of like a coda to the action 80s film, where instead of becoming just a really good, bad version of an 80s film, it could have been kind of like,
a statement?
Not a statement, but kind of like a love letter sort of thing, like Stallone, like, hey, this is what made me. I'm getting older. Okay. I'm kind of going through the films that made me who I am, and I'm kind of putting a bookend to them. Who knows how much longer I'll be around.
Right.
And this is my final, Thank you guys for making me a star. I love the 80s action film. And thanks for making all of us a star. But also kind of, this, again, I guess getting a little more meta, getting a little more cinematic in terms of, like, what it could be in history. Like, The Wild Bunch was really something that kind of,
right.
And this signaled was, the end of the Western.
Right, and this was not that.
Yeah,
this was not an artistic statement by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. But it was, but like you say, it was a time machine.
Yeah.
It was just like,
it was a time capsule.
It's going back, and it's somewhat that nostalgic thing of like, I wish we'd go back in childhood and just experience this again. And for this movie, we did.
Yeah, we did. It was like being 12 again.
Yeah.
It was. And it was, but a little more violent.
Yeah.
Which is just what the 12 of me wanted. So it was perfect.
Heads exploding. And
oh, man.
And I'm telling you, just so much fun. Laughter, clapping, cheering.
And it's a theater movie. It's a movie that, like, I was telling you, that I'm really upset I didn't go see it opening night. I can't imagine how much fun that would have been.
In a packed theater, this would have been
unbelievable.
Such a joy.
So go see it on a Friday night. Go see it on a Saturday night. Pay full price.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
So full price, absolutely worthy to see in a theater.
Yep.
Again, knowing what you're expecting.
And this goes into how you feel about this movie tells you a lot about how you are as a consumer of pop culture and how you feel about movies in general. A good chunk of people, I think, will enjoy this movie for the wrong reasons. Because they don't get movies and it's stupid. Some people will just hate it. I loved it because of Eric Roberts. Because of Stallone, because of heads exploding, because of Steve Austin on fire, because of dousing the entire runway in gasoline and then shooting with a flare gun and then blowing up an entire army.
And literally 2 minutes of nonstop mansions exploding and just, nonstop explosions
rivers of
going
gasoline and just everything stupid about it. And it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Yeah. It was the 12-year-old in me was enraptured.
Yeah. And it gets you in touch with that part of you that just enjoyed not thinking at a movie, just having fun, and cheering and just going along for the ride.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great just to go along for a ride.
Yeah.
And this totally did that.
This was it.
So worthy, regular price. You'll see it for the actors. You'll see it because you're an action movie fan. In terms of movie apocalypse, you could argue that maybe it's just cashing in on the 80s trend that it's just Stallone, like, get a bunch of action guys together, make a movie. But it's also, it's a fun, entertaining time at the movie. It knows what it is. It doesn't really pretend to be anything different. I think it's movie hope in the end.
It's entertaining by accident, is how I feel about it.
I still think it's not. I think it's intentional.
I don't think it's. I think it's completely entertaining because it's so bad. Because it is every cheesy, stupid thing you hated about action movies done again. And it's. I don't think you could recreate this movie with anyone but Stallone. What the hell? Like, it's just. I think. Here's why I think it works as movie hope and why it's not movie apocalypse. I think if this was in anyone else's hands but Stallone, it would be entirely self-referential. It'd be entirely trying to be meta and trying to wink at the audience, and you wouldn't have Eric Roberts eating the apple.
Yeah. Just imagine that scene. Okay, we're about to get rolling. You gotta have something in your hand. What do you want to? What do you want to eat? What do you want to do? You want a gun?
Yeah. No, you want to look menacing. It's like, You know what I think would be good here, Sly? I think, give me an apple. Give me leave me out here. I brush it off. I look around at the destruction that I'm kind of causing. I eat the apple. That's cold-blooded.
That's right, because I'm taking a bite out of the country. This is mine. I own it.
That's good.
That's really
good.
deep.
That's really deep. Let's do it. Cut it.
Cut it, print roll. And on that note.
zenintheartofwaitering.blogspot.com. You can become a fan at facebook.com/zenintheartofwaitering and buy the book at smashwords.com/book/view/13249. Check it out. $5.95.
Check
what
it
a
out.
bargain.
Absolutely, dude. And reward the hard work and the passion. Come on. So what's next after this?
Well, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is what we were talking about. I really want to see it. It tanked at the box office. I feel bad, but I want to see it. It looks good. It looks entertaining. It's directed by the Hot Fuzz and the Shaun of the Dead guys. So
yeah, and it definitely looks like something that you've never seen before.
It looks original. So
and it has a kind of zeitgeisty current time kind of like the whole touch screen and all this video game influence and all that. I am
totally Michael Cera out. I'm really
I agree.
I'm really burnt out on Michael Cera, and also the guy that plays Michael Cera in the other movies, like Zombieland and Adventureland.
Yeah,
and
the generic.
The poor man's Michael Cera.
Poor man's Cera,
That
sure.
whole character just But you know what? For the video game stuff on screen, and like it looks fun. So yeah, we'll check it out. We'll see what we think.
Cool, man.
Anyway.
All right. So until next time, choose your movies wisely, and as always,
long live good movies.